Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Pucker's New Jersey Devils podcast. Let's go, Devils!
What is up, everybody? We are the Uncle Puckers, Tony Zamboni. I am Chris, and Tim is with us today. Bobby is off recouping from his surgery on his little mouth. One enchilada, $6,000, oral surgery, and an implant. Was it worth it, Bob?
That's all I told him he was going to tear the side of that mouth if he wasn't careful.
He's not going to listen to this.
It was not worth it, I don't think, but... So, what's up, boys? How's everybody doing this fine Monday, or was it Tuesday afternoon?
Just
good, bad, ugly?
Yeah, it's all right. I've been building a lot of shit the past couple days. We're putting new flooring in one of our outbuildings, so I've been learning how to use a tongue and groove router. And,
very nice.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can learn on like the YouTube do it yourself channels. Like I had to put a new chain on this the new drive chain on this DR mower that I have. And let me remind you, I lived in New York City for 25 years. So if I needed a problem fixed, I just called the super. So like I was moving down here, I was like one of the most useless people on the face of the earth. Now I know how to do everything. It's pretty remarkable. But
why'd you relocate, Tim?
A variety of reasons. Not really for public consumption.
Oh. He was the supplier of the milk carton pictures.
I'm just trying to avoid some outstanding warrants in New York, for some light robbery. Apparently CBS is very upset about shampoo.
So you're on the lam?
Yeah.
Is that it? All right.
No, I had to take care of a sick relative. I'll put it that way.
So is Montreal taking this last spot, or like we were talking, are the Columbus Blue Jackets going to come up from the gates of hell and steal this thing away from Montreal? Like, I don't know, man. It's
possible. You just need 2 wins and a loss on the other side. I mean, it's possible.
So the Habs have 1 game left, right? And that's tomorrow, I think, against the Canes.
Yeah, Wednesday against the Canes. Okay.
Now, what about Columbus? They have 2 games left.
Islanders and who they play?
Somebody else bad. Yeah.
They have to win the next 2 games, and then if Montreal loses to Carolina, I think they're in.
I think
that's it. They're in. They're in.
That would be scary to play. That's a team that's having fun right now.
I watched that. Did you guys watch the Montreal Blackhawks game last night? Right? Did you watch?
No, I watched most of it. Yeah.
I watched it just to see this Demidov kid play. Man, he is electric. But
yeah,
he also
can't play defense though.
He also didn't back check very well on the go ahead third goal. So everybody's falling in love with Montreal because they're like young and exciting, and it's cool to have a new team in. But it's still Montreal. Like they still have 4 good offensive players and like a bag of shit. Don't look at the Devils. And 1 decent defenseman. They're also a bunch of midgets now that we're allowed to use that word. So they're going to get fucking pummeled by the Capitals. I've made that decision.
I don't know if I agree with that. I really don't. I don't know if I agree.
The Capitals are twice their size. Capitals are just fucking around right now. They're not doing anything serious. They're going to flip a switch. They have veterans that have been there before. Montreal is nobody who's really been there before. I just don't think. I just don't see
either team, Columbus or Montreal, are going to give Washington be a handful for Washington. I really think so. Either team. I am taking my picks. I am taking Washington to win the first round, whoever they play. But I do think it's not going to be a cakewalk. As far as Tampa Bay and Florida, that's an interesting one. And like Thursday, we'll talk about that more and we'll get into all the numbers. I'll have all that stuff laid out and we can go over their records against each other. We'll go side-by-side comparison. I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, it's hard not. I was about to say the same thing. It's hard not to. I mean,
Art Ross, the way Vasilevsky's played down the past couple of months, like he's actually given Hellebuck kind of a little bit of pause on the Vezina conversation. Hellebuck should still win it, because it's been like this the whole season. But you look at Vasilevsky's numbers; they're pretty insane. He's back to being the best goalie in the league, or one of the best goalies in the league. Like it's
and come playoff time, we know Hunter Hellebuck. He seems to crumble like blue cheese during the playoffs, and Vasilevsky's a freaking stone wall.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm sorry. I got a Vazzy story, actually. I remember, so Vazzy first comes in the league, right? I'm living in Tampa, as you know. They have a Lightning fan fest. My mom is now a Lightning fan. She roots for the Devils still, but she has switched over. Sure. So we go to the fan fest. Vasilevsky is sitting there. So it's basically like players, you can get them to sign all your shit. You know how it works, right? Vazzy's sitting there with nobody around him. Bishop has a bunch of people around him. Next year, Vazzy's no one. I just remember him sitting there and no one caring. And now the guy is one of the best goalies I've ever seen play. There's actually a highlight of him catching the puck behind his back in Tampa. I was at the game. It was played. I mean, it was amazing. It's like a big highlight there. They always show. I've seen him play a lot, and I mean, living there, we used to go to games. We always went to the Devils games. We would go to a lot of games there. Dude, he is amazing. And if in the playoffs, you just can't doubt Vazzy, And I think the Lightning, with their experience last year, some of the moves they made. Notice I said some of the moves they made to help them in the playoffs. Yeah, the Lightning are going to be tough. I think they're pissed about last year. I mean, I always envied living in Tampa. I wish I could never leave the Devils, but I was like, man, I'm stupid because the Lightning fans, they have every year you're a competitor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean that window will be wound down. I like some of the comments that, and this is what I think I'd like a little bit more out of from Fitz. Is the comments that Breezeball made, basically saying, like, I'd rather trade for a known commodity than a pick sometime off in the future. Mm-hmm. He unloaded the clip on Jeannot, which is kind of a bad trade, but upgrade. I like what's clearly become an upgrade from Gensel for Stamkos. But, like, you look at that first line, Kucherov, Point, Gensel, and then you got to deal with Hagel and Cirelli, and then you got to deal with Nick Paul. Like, the depth that they have is outrageous. Hedman's back to playing the way he was, getting McDonough back, who I thought was washed last year, but he's one of the best defensive defensemen in the league.
You mentioned Point last show, and I tell you remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but they had Druin, who Druin was a hell of a player for the Lightning when he was there. They lost him. They were worried about that. And then Point comes in and basically just takes the spot right over. And another guy I've seen play like a decent amount of games, and a guy who actually changes everything on the ice. And Point's not a big guy at all.
No, they have scoring everywhere. They have the best coach in the league. They have the pedigree. They know what they're doing. There's not going to be in any single situation or scenario that comes up during these playoffs that they haven't dealt with already. They're my favorite to win the East. I just think they're so much better than they were the last couple of years. And Florida's probably my second pick, but that's the first rounder. So one of them is going home. I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, me too. I just, and in Florida, we don't know what's going on with Matt Tkachuk, and he is just such a linchpin person for Florida, just emotionally, play style, the clutchness. Just if they don't have him, and I wouldn't put it past Florida to be like slow playing that at all, or like have be some sort of long con.
Sure.
Where he got hurt at Four Nations, he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to wait till the playoffs." But yeah, the depth that Tampa rolls out, and Brayton Point, I always there's a funny, I guess I wouldn't call it funny, but a good story about how he kind of got noticed. One of the scout, I forget who it was, went to one of his games in juniors, but they were actually looking at someone else on the ice, and his eye just kept going back to Point and was like, "Who is that guy?" Like, he's little, but he is everywhere and everywhere on every shift. And that's the way he plays in Tampa, man. He's just everywhere. So yeah, I'd say they're coming out of the East. I don't see anybody who's better than them right now.
Yeah. And we'll pick our the games and stuff as far as how many each series is going to last on Thursday. And then we're going to end up with Toronto.
Ottawa.
I'm going Ottawa.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm going Ottawa, and I like this Toronto team. They're a lot better than they've been. I think Craig Berube was the voice that they needed in that dressing room. I like this Toronto team so much better, but at the same time, I don't.
We got Ace in here. All right.
I don't know, Ace. We're
going to get Ace to running with the Devils.
Yeah,
I think it's.
I watch that shit all the time, man. It's
I like that show. But we'll go into the the Devils next. But I'm taking Ottawa. I think that Travis Green's got these guys playing a really good brand of hockey, and Ullmark was the move that whole pendulum over. I mean, you got Ullmark in there, and now they are a legit team that's figuring out how to win. I liked some of the moves that they made. I think that the Zetterlund move is and the Cousins move were just brilliant. They're great pieces to add for a playoff run. I'd like Ottawa over Toronto. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've said that a lot. I think last week too. I mean, Ottawa's the team I think that's going to be a surprise team in the playoffs. And I mean, I love, like we always say on the show, we love Brady Tkachuk, and I think he's a difference maker. And I'm going with Ottawa. I'm going to go with Ottawa in 7 though. I know we're not predicting that now, but
I haven't looked recently. Is Brady healthy? Do we know?
That's the question. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. So they may be doing the same thing, but I think a lot hinges on him as well. But you said that about Ullmark. Like, I think he's the difference maker. I think there's a little bit of question mark in the Toronto goal. We saw Sanderson come in and emerge at the Four Nations, where people are like, "Holy shit, this guy's really good." And I think he's going to take his game to a whole new level. And we'll be having, and I'm basically saying verbatim about something I heard on a different podcast, but whatever, I'll steal whatever I want. But we're going to be having a whole different conversation about Sanderson after these playoffs, I think. Like, this guy is so good at hockey, and people underrate Timmy Stützle. Like, he's a 90-point guy. Like, he's a really, really good player. I'm still waffling though on this series. Like, I think it's going to be Ottawa. I'm probably going to pick Ottawa, but I go back and forth. I don't know if Toronto has the stones, but their defense is better. And with Berube leading the charge, he'll slap the shit out of these guys if they're not.
They're going to play the right way. It should be a really good series. And that one I can totally see going 7-2, Tone. But I think other than Brady Tkachuk having a leg amputated between now and Saturday or Sunday, no right. matter what, he's going to be in. This is his first playoff. He's not missing any time in the playoffs. I don't buy that at all.
And I heard something interesting too. That there's an interesting opinion about it was because Brady Tkachuk only has one gear, so. Yeah. Now that Ottawa's in, they're playing Toronto, kind of like the Devils in Carolina. Like, they don't have anything to play for. It's like, why put him in right now when he only has one gear? Makes sense. Let him save that up. He's like a rabid dog in a cage, just kind of sitting there waiting to just fucking unleash himself on Toronto.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's brilliant that Jack Hughes hasn't played all this time. Get him in for Saturday. I'm sorry.
Jack's gonna rip off his mustache and come out for game one.
That's not happening. All right, which leads us to our series, which again we will get into a lot more in depth, but I'm sorry. I can't see us beating the Canes. I just don't see it. I don't know how many games it's going to go. The way that this team has been playing since Christmas, and I'm not at a point, and there are some Devil fans that are okay with the fact that, hey, look, we didn't make the playoffs last year. We made the playoffs this year. And, Sheldon Keefe has got these guys in the right direction. So really, whatever happens, it's all gravy from here. I don't buy that. I'm not on board with that. No, anytime that you have a chance to make it to the NHL playoffs, then there can't be any more I'm happy to be here bullshit. Yes, Ace, they are fucking losers. But I'm not buying that whole thing. If you're going to be in there, you go in there to try and win this whole thing. Carolina, I think the Devils match up a lot better with the Canes than we had in recent years. I do. And if we can get back to how we were playing when we played them earlier in the year, I think we have a shot. This team right now, I just don't know which way the wind's blowing with them, and they haven't really shown us shit in the last 2 weeks, at least, to even, I think, going into the, and again, momentum isn't anything. We've seen these Devil teams, right, struggle. 2000, I mean, we fired our freaking coach in March, and they're struggling. They win the last couple of games of the year, and they go and sweep the first round and go win the Stanley Cup. That's not this team. And I just don't know if we have what it takes right now to beat the Canes. So I don't think I'm going to be picking us to do it.
I get so frustrated with this because I've been bitching for like 2 months now about it. I keep on thinking about the moves that we made at the trade deadline, or what the non-moves we made at the trade deadline. And it just frustrates me so much because all of us guys, and Ace, I mean, he's another guy. We've all been around. We were around during 94, 95. We suffered with the Devils when the Ranger fans were running our high school and basically just being total douchebags. And I'll go down with the ship. I always tell Chris, like, when we talk off the thing, I said, I love the Devils. I'll always go down, but man, it's frustrating. I'm worried. I know these next couple games don't mean anything right now, but I really feel like they kind of mean something just because we've played like such shit for so long now.
Slow it down.
You talking to us, Chris? Or?
I'm talking to my dog.
He's got some kid chained up in the back. But I mean, it's just, if I wasn't a Devil fan, I would be like, okay, New Jersey's going to get.
Nobody has the Devils, and everything that I've seen, and this is something
except for PK Subban.
PK does have us beating the Canes. He does have us beating the Canes.
He's just such a.
He's loyal.
I love PK, man. That was just an excellent troll job.
Yes, and I love that I love that we have him. I love that he believes in the team. Now, look, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I think that the Devils have shown that when they do play their game, they can beat anybody. But it's just a matter of we haven't beaten anybody good in so long, and that's the thing that's just frustrating. Like you have to win one of these first two games. Like that's the thing too. Like the way we started both series 2 years ago, the Rangers and the Canes, just. You cannot start that. Who is dicking around with a pen or something?
And Canes have only lost what, 9? I think they've only lost 9 games at home this year.
Yes, their home record is ridiculous.
They're tough at home. All right, I'm going to pick the Devils.
Okay.
Because fuck everybody else, and I'm a Devils fan.
I'm
going down with the ship. I don't care. And once we get past these fucking trash bag, uneducated hillbillies from Carolina, we're going to breeze through the Eastern Conference Finals. Me and Ace are going to be dancing on everybody's grave.
I want some of that weed that Tim has. I'm not getting that quality
inbred Hicks, whatever you call them, are 31-9-1 at home this year.
Let me tell you why the regular season record doesn't matter in the playoffs. So, over the past 10 years, there have been 10 Stanley Cups awarded, correct? Correct. Okay. 4 of those cups have been won by teams that were quote unquote going in hot, and their combined win-loss record was 305 to 314. So they actually had a losing record in the playoffs when they were going into the playoffs hot. Teams that are going in about 500-ish have a 242 and 250 record. Teams that were going in cold and not playing well leading up to the playoffs have a record of 370 and 349 in the playoffs. Okay. So teams that actually were cold going into the playoffs actually have better a cumulative playoff record than 500 or hot.
Or better.
So right. Do they have 4 months of cold?
I think that is evidence that what their play right now doesn't necessarily matter. I get it. It hasn't been pretty since January. It hasn't.
That's the big problem.
But when they raise the emotional stakes of the game, the Devils have responded, and they've responded extremely well. And I point to that Rangers game, and I point to those 2 Minnesota games when things got really heated. I point to that Flyers game when things got really heated. When the Devils elevate themselves emotionally and get up for a game emotionally and lead with physicality, they bury their opponents. We have the physical advantage in this series, and I think we can beat the shit out of these little Canes forwards. Svechnikov might be hurt, which is fine. The guy only has 46 points this year. Our elite forwards are better than theirs. Nico, Timo, Bratt are all better than anything they have to offer. And if we get Dougie back and Markstrom hits his playoff ceiling, we're going to beat the Canes.
There are a few things that I feel good about with our series against them. And I do think that if the Devils beat the Canes and we move on to the Capitals, I think we beat Washington. I said this to you guys. If we beat the Canes, I think we make it to the Eastern Conference Final.
Podcast right now.
I really believe that. I think that we can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals if we beat Carolina. Carolina is going to be a handful, though. We have the advantage in goal. I think Markstrom will absolutely be a force. I'm not worried about our goaltending. And, this whole going in hot, going in cold thing, I know it makes sense when you look at the numbers like that. And I can see where, you can look at this and say, yeah, well, then we have a shot. We're cold. We're going in. But we've been cold since, like you said, Tony, since like January. And that's the thing that kind of worries me, is that they never got back to playing the way they played earlier in the year. We barely even saw glimpses of it. Now that can all switch, because I do think we have the better goaltending. And we have a few guys in our lineup that I think have a switch. And if they turn that switch on, they have proven they can show up big in the playoffs. And I'm talking guys like Palat, guys like Hala, these guys, Meyer, these are guys that can be huge for us if they can kick it into the next gear. And guys like Dylan that have the experience, a guy like Cotter. I mean, he's won a cup. He has the experience. He knows what it's like to go through and win 16 games in the postseason.
Sort of.
So
Meyer's been a beast since we lost Jack, man. He's been,
completely.
Yeah, Meyer's a guy that can transform a series.
Yes, and I think that if the physicality, that to me is the key. If the Devils set the tone, whether Saturday or Sunday, whenever game one's going to be, if they set the tone early physically, I think they can get Carolina on tilt. I really do, because I think we are a much more physical team when we all collectively say this is how we have to play. We can't cheat for offense. We have to be defensively responsible. We have to hit anything that fucking moves. And when the opportunities arise, we have to bury the pucks. That was as simple as it was for them when the season started, and they get away from that. If they can get back to that, they have a shot. Right now, for our exercise in all this, I'm taking the Canes probably in 7, but anything can change. I hope. Never hoped I was more wrong about something than I am about this series in my head, because
I full on have rose-colored glasses on, but I do think there's a path for us to win. I agree. I'm not just blowing smoke to blow smoke. I do think there's a path. We need everybody to be their best, though. We need a lot to go right. Mm-hmm. We need a lot to go wrong for Carolina. I mean, I hate to wish injury on people, but wouldn't mind to see if Svechnikov was out for a couple of games. Like, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for us, because then they really only have Aho and Jarvis that provide any sort of offense. Carolina struggles to score.
Yeah, so
they really do. They struggle to score. Where their strength is their 6D core. I think that is really their strength. And what worries me is Bratt's ability to get to the interior against this D core. I think that's something that is going to be a fight all series. Not to say that he's any sort of playoff liability, because nobody can get to the interior on this D-corp. But that's a problem. What they need to do, what Carolina needs to do as a team, is insulate Anderson or Kochetkov, whoever starts for them, which is a question in and of itself. Like, who is their starting goalie?
I think it's probably going to be Anderson to start.
Probably, but
I think so.
Kochetkov has carried the water for them all season.
27 wins.
I also think the Devils have a secret weapon. I really believe that we have one guy on this team that, if he turns it up, he can transform this series and be the best player on the ice, and that's Luke Hughes. I really believe that Luke Hughes can take that turn. If he can take that turn in this playoff, I think the Devils can go pretty far. But, it's a lot to put on his little young, narrow shoulders, but he has all the skill in the world.
It's the same thing I just said about Sanderson on Ottawa.
Yeah.
They're almost on like identical trajectories. Like, both of them, I thought Luke actually would have been a good option for the Four Nations instead of Sanderson. I think they're going to be the two guys fighting for that probably fourth lefty spot on the American team over the next couple of years. Because that left side is, Quinn, Slavin, and Werenski. That's pretty locked down. So Sanderson and Luke are probably going to be the next two guys fighting for that spot with that little midget in Montreal.
I like Lane Hudson, even though he's a tiny little guy, but I do
he's a weird looking dude. He's
wiry. wiry player.
He's wiry.
He's I like him though. I like this Montreal team. I like the core of this team.
They're fun, man.
I like the story that they told last night during the game, and I'm sure you probably heard it when it was right before the trade deadline, and Suzuki went up to management and just told them, like, I want you to keep us together. I want you to keep our core together. I don't want you trading Evans. I don't want you I think that we can do it. And it was a couple of weeks before the trade deadline or wherever it was. And who's their general manager? I don't even know who their GM is.
Hughes.
But Jack Hughes? That's what he's doing? He left us to go fucking run
the father of BU's Jack Hughes, actually. Ken Hughes.
Ken Hughes.
Ken Hughes. Actually, the old management team that was working for the Rangers last time they were good.
So, he said, look, and the management basically said, all right, you show us that you can win, that you can make a push, put something together for us, and we will not rip this team apart. And they did it. And I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome that Suzuki is that much of a leader at such a young age to just put it on his back and drag these guys all the way to the playoffs. And for that, I hope they make it. I hope Columbus makes it just because of everything they went through. It would just be a great story. But personally, I'd like to see the Habs in there because I just think the Bell Center playoff time is just awesome.
Dude, that atmosphere last night, that place was on fire. That place
they're
was
such
rocking.
Great fans. They really are.
Fans. Yeah. So. Yeah, they really were. Even though they lost. Womp, womp.
Yeah, I know. But they got another chance at it.
Yeah, I mean, both of them. What's cool is Calgary is kind of lurking in the West too, and Columbus is lurking in the East. And that'd be kind of a pretty cool, Johnny Gaudreau type of connection story if both of them kind of somehow manage to sneak in. But if it's Montreal or Columbus, happy with both of them getting in.
A Columbus Calgary Stanley Cup final. There you go.
I mean, Columbus, if you think about it, like I said, it sounds crazy, but it's not that. They could get in, man. If you really look at it, you got to beat the Isles. You got to beat Philly.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Carolina can beat Montreal. I mean.
Yeah, Fantilli's elevated this game. Merce Lincoln's is really kind of the only question mark there. Zach Werenski can control an entire game. Like, that guy's unbelievable at hockey. But, all the whoever offs that they have, Marchenko and I don't know, all the other random Russians that they have that suddenly appeared and we're like, oh, this guy's really fucking good. Yeah, they're sneaking. They're winning at the right time. They're potentially sneaking in. We thought we buried them a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you remember that. We thought we put the last pile of dirt in their grave. But
and the thing that's effed up, if you, like, Tony and I talked a little bit about this before we hit record, like, the Devils, if they didn't have the start that they had, we're not in these playoffs. No. With the way that the end of the season went. Yeah, the goaltending was definitely the savior.
It's been a long con. They knew they were playing Carolina since December. I've been saying this.
I mean, we've been.
So they're just like, let's rest everybody. Sure. Pretend Jack got hurt. It's a long con. Jack's going to come out to the Undertaker's music, game 1, round 1, and it's going to be fucking over for Carolina.
Hey, could you just, that thought of everything, the Undertaker's music, Jack kind of coming up in like a billow of smoke right in the center ice. You hear the dong, he comes on, the lights come on in the Rock, and all of a sudden 86 is back on the ice. I mean, what better way to start WrestleMania weekend and playoff weekend than that? That's the perfect fit right there.
Perfect fit. There you go.
All right, we're going to do a little housekeeping, and then we're going to go and talk quickly about the West and a little bit about tonight's game against the Bruins, who apparently we can't beat anymore. And this is great because they gave us a new ad read here. And
playoffs.
The ad read is given to us by the Hockey Podcast Network, okay? And we are a podcast which directly just talks about a hockey team from the Hockey Podcast Network. Just keep that all in mind.
And you are an advertising enthusiast.
The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes, drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. I'm just reading the script. Trust me, I've never watched a basketball game in my life.
So they actually try in the playoffs? Because when regular season games, it's like
playoffs.
And if you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, visit dkng.co/audio. That's DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours.
You should literally tell the THPN guys to get DraftKings to just switch NBA to NHL for that ad read for their whole network. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I know. I mean, we've done Super Bowl ones, we've done football ones, and
there's a golf one once.
Yeah, there was the golf one, which for the Masters, which I don't know. I mean, that's all everybody was talking about. I can't watch golf. I love golf. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. I can't watch it.
I watched the majors. I was a pretty good golfer in college, so I enjoy it. But
Happy Gilmore was good.
That's a hockey movie, Tony.
It's kind of golf too, right?
Yeah, sort of more of an anger management.
Aren't they doing another one? Isn't there a part 2?
Yeah, part 2. I think it's in June or something.
I think Snoop Dogg's in it too, or something like that.
Yeah, I saw the preview for it. It looks a little.
Snoop Dogg should be in everything.
Yeah,
he really should. Him and Kevin Hart doing the Olympic commentary. There's like the dressage, the horse dancing, basically, where Snoop is like, "Oh shit, he's crip walking."
I didn't realize that I needed my Olympics to have Snoop Dogg in it until I saw him on the Olympics last year, and I was like, "Yes, he needs to be on all of Olympic coverage all the time."
He was calling football games there for a while, right?
Snoop's a big hockey guy.
Yeah, he loves hockey.
Yeah,
he loves hockey.
Yeah.
All right, so Western Conference. I mean, we don't have our seeding just yet. It looks like it's going to be St. Louis a wild card 2 and Minnesota a wild card 1. So we're going to just use those numbers for our discussion here. So it would be Winnipeg playing Minnesota. And I like this Minnesota team, especially with Kaprizov back and Ek back. I like this team. I don't know. Like, that's in the back of my head. Like, Connor Hellebuyck was so bad last year in the first round against the Avs. So bad. And again, a Vezina year and crumbled in the playoffs. Is that going to happen again?
Going Winnipeg.
Taking Winnipeg?
Yeah, I think they're damn good. I mean, I know what you're saying, though. Definitely happened. But my instinct is to take Winnipeg.
I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota was the best team in the league before Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek got hurt. Now that those guys are back and they just added Zeev William to their lineup, Gustafson's he's a hell of a goalie. And Winnipeg just lost Ehlers, who confirmed is week to week now, which doesn't look good. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Ehlers got hurt like running into a ref or something like that.
I didn't see it.
Oh, I didn't see it either.
So Winnipeg, I don't know. There's something about them that I just can't put my finger on. But I think Winnipeg, kind of the narrative about them starts to turn into a little bit of the Toronto narrative, where they just can't get out of the first round. The entire West is an absolute buzzsaw, except for who finishes first and gets to play St. Louis. Well, not even that. Like St. Louis, the way they've been playing has been outrageous. I don't think St. Louis is good enough to beat the 1 seed, but I think Minnesota can give them a real run for their money, and I think Minnesota takes them.
I think it's going to come down to Connor Hellebuyck. I think that Minnesota is a very good team, and they're a scary team in the West. I think anybody that takes them lightly is because they have that narrative too, right? The Wild can't get out of the first round. That they, So, but I like John Hines. He knows what he's doing. I like that team.
What?
What? You don't like John Hines?
No.
I like John Hines. You don't like John Hines, really?
Never really did.
So I'm going to take I'm going to go with Minnesota probably. That might change by Thursday, but right now I'm going to go with Minnesota. And then, like you said, St. Louis, it looks like it's going to be St. Louis, Vegas. Now, St. Louis is, everyone's talking. St. Louis fans and Ranger fans, for some reason, remind me of each other. Like they grasp onto whatever little success that they had, and they try and manifest that into what's happening now. So this is exactly like 19, right? Binnington getting hot, and this team's just going to make it to the playoffs. Even though in 19 they ended up I think first or second in the West, not a wild card spot. But I just think Vegas is a fucking train, man, and I don't know if St. Louis has the horses to stop them. So I'm going to take Vegas over the Blues. What about you guys?
Same here, Vegas.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Eichel's too good. Like they've been there before. They had their off year where they didn't make the finals. They got an extra month of rest. Like they know what they're doing. Their decore's elite. Aiden Hill's been there before, and Eichel, Marchessault, and elite goal scoring winger Alexander Holtz.
Yeah, elite. So then we have, for the fourth time in a row, the Kings and the Oilers. And the last 3 years, Edmonton has rolled through them like a buzzsaw. It is not happening this year. The Kings don't lose at home. I think Edmonton is a shell of what they, between the injuries, between all the hockey they've played. Unless Connor McDavid has just kind of been, like you said, slow playing this shit for the last few months, and him and Draisaitl are going to just flip that switch and become, the best two hockey players in the world. I'm going to take the Kings on this one. I think Edmonton gets bounced in round one. Tone?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Kings too, but it's almost 50-50 for me just because of McDavid. I mean, these are the kind of guys that can change a series and like that. But I'm going to go with the Kings too.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the way Kemper's playing, he's going to get top 5,000 votes. And the way Quentin Byfield, has been playing recently, that guy, man, once he finally puts it all together on a game-to-game basis, he goes through these periods where he's the best player in the NHL. Some of the shit he does is insane. Like that one goal he just scored where he deflected it down and then lacrosse.
The one-handed one?
Yeah, that was just, I mean, I know he was holding the guy's stick, but I think
it should have been a penalty, but
nice. I'm a big believer in the rule of cool. If it's a cool fucking goal, it shouldn't be allowed to be overturned. The overtime goal that
the Cotter had.
The Cotter scored the other day. I was like, that was a cool goal.
Yeah.
That should stand. And we should have a panel of Pete Blackburn and Biz being yeah, that's a cool goal. That should stand.
Yeah. They grade them.
That's in
over
Toronto.
8.5. Then you the goal.
Yeah.
They just sit there in the sidelines.
I just think
referee Pete Davidson, and he's just holds up to 9.
Whatever. Chuck Norris.
There you go. Thank you, Chuck Norris.
Whatever voodoo they have in LA that they're so good at home. Don't know what that is. I just don't see it. And Edmonton's IR list and injured list right now is ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, real quick, the LA Kings home record. Let me just see this real quick. They're 31-5-4 at home this year.
It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Yeah, they don't lose at home. All right, and then the series, which I think is going to be the series of the first round, is Dallas and the Avs. This sucks that one of them has to get bounced in round one because I think both of them have a legit shot to win the cup. I like everything that the Avs did in the offseason, and I think Nate McKinnon, he's he's my favorite non-Devil hockey player in the league. I'm going with the Avs. I hate to say that Mackenzie Blackwood is going to win a playoff series, but I think he's going to win a playoff series.
I would like to. So I think Dallas is going to win the series, but I actually would like to see Blackwood. I have no problem. If Blackwood could have stayed healthy, I think it would have been a different story. I liked Blackwood. I'm rooting for him, man. But I do think Dallas is going to win. But I would actually be kind of cool if he actually won a series.
So you're going to take Dallas?
Yeah, I'm going to take that. I just think Dallas is damn good. I think they've been damn good all year. One of the best retro jerseys. One of those. What is that? The third jersey they have, that neon green.
The blackout ones. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I love it. Oh, I love it.
I don't
love
like it. I don't like it.
I hate it.
Oh, I love it. But I think Dallas is really good, and I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I think. I mean,
should be.
I think a lot of the West is going to be 7-game series.
The West is an absolute gauntlet. Yeah. Like even like the bottom two teams. We just talked about, like Minnesota has reason to be excited. St. Louis has been hot. Vegas is a wagon. Dallas and Colorado are both wagons. Like you said, it sucks that one of them is going to get eliminated, but like every one of those series, like what's going to happen is the West is going to beat the fucking living shit out of each other, and someone from the East is going to win because whoever comes in from the West is going to be limping into the playoffs. I agree. But I think Colorado is going to win that series. I have no ill will towards Blackwood. Like I think he was horribly mismanaged by the Devils. The whole shit with his heel and what they're like cutting a part of the back of his skate out, so his bare heel was like exposed to the elements he was trying to play through. Like we just fucked that guy up. Like,
and fans did turn on him. I remember it was like love Blackwood, and then it was hate Blackwood.
Yeah, and we, and every fan base does that with their goalies. Goalies is like it sucks. Like you could see with our own this year with Markey and Allen. Everybody's like, oh, Sid marks him to the moon and re-sign Allen. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Idiots.
But I with Cale Makar, man, he might be the best player in the NHL. He might possibly be. There's certainly an argument to be made. He's going to win the Norris again. Nate McKinnon, like, there's a reason why I keep telling Bobby, like I don't know if you guys see this. Yeah. I sent Bobby some stuff on the side, but every time McKinnon comes up, I tell Bobby to tell his kid to eat, sleep McKinnon. Just watch him play, man. He just skates like he's pissed at the ice. And what they've done to reinvent their entire team during the course of the season, they turned over their goaltending by November. Which another thing, it's like, Fist, what the fuck, man?
That's what I love about Colorado. Exactly that. They identified an issue and they fixed it. They didn't fuck around. They didn't sit on their hands. They didn't say, well, let's wait and see what happens. No, we have issues. Let's fix them now. And you're right. With Fitz, he doesn't do it.
Oh, that's nice. There's a fucking wasp just crawling around in my window up there. All right.
Nice.
I'm going to try to be quiet. So
I didn't mention this. I don't know if you guys did. I'm sure you guys done a couple shows since then, but I wasn't on for a couple nights, I think. Man, I was watching Crosby play the other night, and I have to say, dude, I hated Crosby when he first came in the league. Couldn't stand him. But now, I mean, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah. No, the narrative on him has certainly changed. He came into the league, and he was like Cindy Crosby.
Punk,
he was a whiner.
He was like. But now, like, it's kind of like it's almost like the Tom Brady syndrome. I hated Tom Brady. I still have a lot of resentment towards him with the whole Raiders situations. But dude, he's a great quarterback. Eventually, you just have to say, okay. Yeah. This guy is that good,
Talking about Mahomes?
No, I can't. No. I saw a picture. It was Brady. It was a cartoon picture, and he had all the rings on his fingers. And he had one ring on his slong because he had so many rings he couldn't fit it. I mean, it made sense. I was like, yeah, dude,
it's kind of a small dick if you can fit a ring on it. Jesus.
He had it fit
in. You can get it extended.
Yeah.
Tony would know.
I watched a really awesome documentary last night that I think you two would really enjoy. It's called The Guardians. It was on Prime. I don't know if you guys have seen this. And it was an entire documentary about the enforcer role in hockey. From the earliest days of fighting in hockey and to right up until now, where the enforcers are basically, dinosaurs, and they follow a bunch of guys, and everybody's, all these different stories. They go through everything from, concussions to the injuries, and they go and they talk about, like, I didn't know this. Do you know how many percentage wise of concussions happen in hockey during fights? Like a rough idea of a percentage.
I thought it was pretty small. I thought most of the concussions come from actual hits and not fighting.
What number would you say?
Like 5%.
It is exactly
70%. Was it 5%?
It is 5%.
Wow.
Yeah, the hits and the force from hits, because it's a physics equation, and that's why they say hitting in hockey is is harder because force is speed or velocity times mass.
Well, there's a lot of other things that go into it. I mean, you have so many more of these injuries that happen now, the head injuries, and it's because of the speed. And the biggest thing is the equipment, like the shoulder pads that they have nowadays. They can take a friggin' hit from a tank and you don't feel it. And, so like Brett Hall even said, like, we wouldn't be running at guys at 25 miles an hour with our old shoulder pads because that hurts like hell. And we're not going to hit people like that because it fucking hurts.
You ever see a picture of Scott Stevens wearing his shoulder pads from like the 80s or 90s?
Yeah.
Like it's like he basically had like wet newspaper strapped to his arms.
Yeah.
Like those are his shoulders, they weren't shoulder pads. Those are his fucking shoulders.
And now I have a bitch related to this. I have a complaint related to this because I was going to bring this up tonight. Chris, you mentioned this.
Hold that complaint for 2 seconds. Okay. Sing a song. I'll be right back.
But Tim, so I'll bring this up with Chris too. But if you notice, man, I'll watch the highlights in the morning for some games, and they don't show. It's so pussified, the highlights now. Like, I don't know if it's Sportsnet, whatever. You can watch all the highlight shows. Most of them online now don't show the fights, don't show the hits. Like, I mean, games with big fights, they just blow right through that now. They don't show any of that. It drives me crazy. I mean, because, obviously we come from back in the day where you just clobber people. It was just.
Well, you live in Europe.
Yeah, it's the skill level of players has gotten so extreme, and kind of the pendulum has swung so far
room for those guys
towards skill and speed and stuff like that. But I think it's kind of coming back a little bit where people are starting to realize you need that heaviness and you need that skill, and that's the perfect player.
Florida showed that last year.
Florida showed that last year. Now, even like a guy like Kucherov, like he's one of the biggest pricks on the ice, and you got to be a little bit of a greasy prick on the ice. I think McDermott is valuable to an extent, but he's a terrible fucking hockey player. Like he's not, like, a guy can't skate for shit. But you look at a guy like you look at a guy like Olivier. Sorry, Chris, 1 second. You look at a guy like Olivier on Columbus who put up 16 goals. Like, give me that guy. And put that guy in the lineup.
You can ask anybody on that Devils bench, and they'll tell you they feel a hell of a lot more protected.
Yeah, they all say that.
When also, he's on the bench. And even if he takes 2 minutes of ice time, that's it. Like
I've been disappointed, man. We had not seen – I mean, he's just been – when I signed him, I didn't think we'd see him every night. But, man, it's like he doesn't even exist on the team, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean – because we need to win games, and he doesn't really control.
We're not doing that anyway. So,
and last year he was the only. Last year he was the only physical threat we had. It's not that way.
Yeah, and I actually like having him in the lineup because he's only going to get 3 to 5 minutes, which means Brat's double shifting, Nico's double shifting, Jack's double shifting, and that's kind of why we score more, because those guys are getting more ice time.
But now, Tony, in Lithuania, does Lithuania have its own hockey league, or is it part of a bigger European league? Like, what do you have there?
It's part of, like, we have our own leagues here, but like the big thing here is like Latvia. We play Latvia. We play places like that.
I thought you said Mafia.
And there's no fighting, right?
Oh, there is, but there's not supposed. It's the same as it's kind of like there's not supposed to be, but there's a bunch of cheap hits. There's a bunch of that stuff. You get tossed out of games though. I remember going to one of the playoff games here last year for like that. I think it was 20 up. Where I think we were playing Latvia, and yeah, they just toss you out. You're kicked right out for fighting.
In the European leagues that do not have fighting, they have a exorbitant amount of head injuries, more head injuries than the National Hockey League. And the big reason is that guys are going to take liberties. Like, if they took fighting out of hockey, like, do you think anybody would think twice about just running an elbow through Jack Hughes' skull? Because if I can get this guy out, and I know that he's going to be out for 3 weeks, and I got to serve a 4 or 5 game suspension. I don't give a shit if I'm just a thug or whatever. I'll go and I'll throw that 30-mile-an-hour elbow at him if I know that I don't have to worry about McDermott or Dylan or anybody else coming and kicking my ass. And that's a problem. You take that away, take that out of the game, you're going to have a lot more head injuries. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No. I cut you off. I apologize. Go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, that's why I'm a little worried about the repercussions for this Cotter suspension. I do not think that was the suspension worthy hit, because he hit him in the head, got a 5 in a game. That should have been the end of it. Like he should not have gotten 2 games for this. Like the angle he was taking, he was watching the puck the whole time and took a bad angle. And Pelech, one of the things Tony was talking about, the sort of pussification of this game, is guys aren't responsible for the positions they're putting themselves in. Like Pelech, his nose and his chin are out like this. Like, don't put yourself in that position. Your head is gonna get clipped. Like it's going to get clipped. Like Cotter, if you watch him, he's watching Biz actually broke this down on the intermission pretty well. He's watching the puck the whole time, and then he takes an angle like this, and Pelech is like this, and Cotter's on his right edge, on the right inside edge, because he's taking that angle to go get the puck, and Pelech is right there. Like it should not have been a suspension. I truly don't understand that decision, especially since on the same fucking night, someone what?
Laughing at a comment, nothing to do with you. Tim.
Yeah, nothing with you. Changes, bro. Alex's nose is so fucking big, you can't avoid that shit.
Though, but I always bitch about it, Tim. But it drives me crazy, man, because I think like there is some teams that are getting tougher, and I love it, man, because again, we all grew up with the Chris Simons, the Mike Pelusos, the Tony Bob Proberts, and guys like this. And I miss these kind of, this kind of hockey. And I mean, I keep on hoping. That's what I love about the Kachucks, because I feel like they bring it back, whether the league wants it or not. They're like, it's in your face.
And it's not just fighting. It's just the general level of violence and finish your checks and go through a guy. Like that's the emotional level. Like we were leading the league in fighting majors before Christmas, and I don't think we had one fight since.
Yeah,
like that sends an emotional charge through a team. Like when I played in college, like I didn't fight, but if a guy fought, he'd get kicked out of the game. But like that would fire the boys up on the bench. That gets you fired up. It does. It really does. And I think
1,000%
that we need to find the balance again between the violence and the skill. And I think we are. I think
Meyer hopefully he'll bring that in the playoffs. I'm really hoping like we always talk, we kind of compare. It's different because Claude Lemieux was a player of his own. Claude Lemieux was the guy that you wanted to kill if he wasn't on your team, But I think Meyer can play that role too, like we always talk about. And I think that would be huge for us because we don't have, Dylan. I love Dylan. But I think Meyer's the guy we have to look to because, we don't have many of those kind of guys, I feel like, who are nasty. Now, not tough. I'm talking about nasty. You have to have some of that nasty.
You have to be a greasy prick. Like Marchand said last year, he's like,
I used to like Blake Coleman because he was kind of a prick.
Marchand said last year, he's like, I'm trying to hurt that guy. It's playoffs.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Nico Hischier has that in him? I think he does.
He has fire in him, but I don't know if it's nastiness.
I think he can be a little nasty. I do. I think he can. I think there's another level of him come playoff time, physically wise, that I think he can handle a little bit more on his plate. I think, and he's not so much of that skinny little kid that just got that gets bitched off with a puck like he was when he first started. Like he has turned into, I think, a very good, and he's got some fire, and you see him. He's thrown some big hits this year. I think he's the kind of guy that maybe, I'd like to see him kind of take that up a notch too.
I thought Bastian was nastier when he first came in the league, man. He was like, get into it sometimes. Yeah, but he would, back in the day, he would get in some net. It was always in the scrums and stuff like that. Like, and I remember Wood was like that. When Wood first came to the Devils, Wood was
he was a fighter.
And then it just changed. And it was actually, I think he changed it so he can change his game, which I get. But it was sucked because I love the nasty Wood, like there's something about him. The Nasty Wood. That should be the name of the show right there. The Nasty Wood.
I like it.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think there's an emotional level that these guys just need to get to. And
you're right.
I love Nico, but I think it needs to kind of come from some other people, leadership wise in the room, like Dylan, even Cotter to an extent, Nason, some of those veterans, Kovacevic that you brought.
Nason is another one I keep forgetting about, and I think he can be another dude. Yeah, you're right. Nason
don't discount that Holla, Dougie, and Nason all basically got run out of town in Carolina, and we're playing for those guys, especially that Holla hatred. Holla's a guy that is a greasy little fucking prick. Like he can be a dirty little bastard, and I love that.
We need Nason though. We need guys like that. That's one thing we're gonna have to do if we're gonna beat Carolina. We need to have those guys who show up that you don't even notice in the regular season to get the chip hits. We need the Tatars to get the third period goal that you don't expect. We need Nason to get a couple of the goals like he was a couple months ago, putting them in all the time. That's to me, that we were talking about the Carolina series earlier, that because we don't have, like I said, we didn't retool like we should have. Those are the kind of guys we need to get past the series. If we have at least 2 of the games decided by some chip in you don't expect from one of our guys, then we could take it. But we have to have that.
And we've seen kind of Glass contributing, and like I've been putting together kind of the side-by-sides of Carolina and New Jersey stats. And season long, our tie-in, our high end. Gee, what the hell was that? It sounds like a dog with like one of those voice things on the voice box.
Comes out with a gimp
real
mask.
quick.
He's got a gimp ball.
Peanut butter.
I've never had a dog that barks and sounds like such a fucking pussy when he barks. He's a 60-pound dog. He's a big guy, and when he barks, he sounds like just a little tiny pussy, and I want to punch him. I hate it. I hate when he barks.
Here comes PETA.
Another
problem.
We're gonna get flagged by PETA over here.
We're not getting any ad money.
Oh boy!
Yeah. Right. Oh well, they're ads at that.
Our ass out of here.
Actually, go ahead, Tim. Wrap this thing up.
It's fine. We could talk briefly about Boston. I thought there's a pretty good quote from Pesci on it. And I think this is kind of how we all feel about this. I want to see this team win, but objectively, I understand that it doesn't matter in the standings. But you got to be able to get yourself up. So this is what Pesci said. Obviously, it doesn't matter in the standings, but you've got to ramp it up now. Now the playoffs are a week away. At the same token, these guys embarrassed us in our building not too long ago. We'll be ready. So I think that's that good kind of leadership quote. Oh, I forgot about Pesci, Carolina as well.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that have a big reason to go and win this series for New Jersey. Absolutely. And tonight's going to be, no, it doesn't mean anything, but it means something, right? Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
you want to feel good. Like, win these last 2 games. Feel a little bit good about yourself. You go into this series in Carolina, and like you said, Tone, like that's all it takes, right? Is that chip in from Tatar, right? Palat to make that big play in the 3rd period, and Markey to come up with that big save. And next thing you know,
Jimmy Dow do it in '95, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Changes everything, man.
I mean, look, go back to the Rangers series, Game 7, right? Michael McLeod. We all know he's a fucking scumbag, but he showed up. And
scumbag.
Yeah. What does he say here? We definitely have the slowest, worst shooting.
Yeah, that's
hockey that can chip in like a ball thing. That's why I think Luke is going to have to kind of do some magic.
If Dougie comes back, that transforms our whole.
Yes,
our
that's
whole
big.
Decor. That's.
I need to get this Hamilton confidence because I don't know. I need to.
There's a piece of me that's like I really wouldn't mind Seamus Casey just being in there.
Oh, kind of like
I know
Dougie is light years better than Casey.
I know he is, but I just I'm happy that Dougie's coming back. I just
anything we can get, right? Anything, bring it in.
Exactly.
That's you mentioned the guys from Carolina. We also got to worry about. It sounds funny, but I'm sure Taylor Hall would love to put us down.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that prick.
They won't mind.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Anything else that you guys want to share this afternoon before we go?
No, I'm good. Let's go Devils.
Yeah, we're gonna be back.
We're confident. We'll see the text messages. It's only 10-0. We have a chance still. I feel confident.
There's still 28 minutes left in this game. It's 5 goals a minute.
And I tell you, there's nothing more for me because I'm up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning watching these games. And when this shit goes down like this, like this week, dude, it sucks the next morning. Yeah, it's different when they win. Being tired when they win the next morning, that's one thing. But when it's the way it's
having my entire emotional well-being tied to this team for the past 3 months has been pretty rough on the old
every season. And then we do the same thing, and then we take off for the summer, and then it's football season starts, and then hockey season starts again, and we're all in this shit again.
Yeah.
And at least with football, it's only 1 day a week that we have to go through it. And
you had a good season last year, man. You had fun until the end.
Better season this year. We are going to have a better season this year. The Vikings, within the next year or 2, will be in the Super Bowl.
Do we score a goal?
With Aaron Rodgers leading the way, right, pal?
Well, it
Chris,
came
if
out.
Aaron Rodgers becomes a Viking, I will buy you a Viking jersey with Aaron Rodgers and send it to you.
I will split that.
It may be from China, but I'm going to get you one.
Well, then you're going to pay like 50% tariff tax on it.
That's right.
Well, you're in Lithuania. You're good.
That's right.
Here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers got in touch with Minnesota. The Minnesota did not try and get him. He got in touch with Kevin O'Connell. And he basically said, look, if you're okay with having JJ McCarthy sit another year, I will show him all of everything. I will mentor him. I will be all these things, like sounding like, hey, this is, but my whole thing is that's great. He's 41 years old. He hasn't played good in 3 years.
He's a nut job.
4 if you count the injured season. And I have a 22-year-old kid who is coming off a national championship, who has studs all around him on this team, can make all the throws. Why are you going to go and bring in the 41-year-old guy who hasn't played good in 4 years?
And Chris, do you want him to mentor him? Because, Rodgers, man, he's in a league of his own with certain things, man. Do you really want him to
being a crazy fuck?
No, I don't.
He's a crazy
I don't want him on
bastard,
the team. I don't want him on the team, but I do think that I have to just pick a bone here with Jay Snow. You think JJ McCarthy is ass? Are you absolutly insane? You have to be like a
Jay Snow.
You got to be a fucking Giant fan. I mean, what are you, JJ's ass? And I think Tim's Ravens are going to get over the hump.
How about my Raiders? How about my Raiders, man?
Catch the 2-point conversion or something. Look, the Ravens aren't going to get over the hump.
How dare you go after national treasure Mark Andrews like that?
Well, I just did.
How dare you?
And I don't trust the Baltimore Ravens. I don't trust them at all.
We're not asking them to babysit for you. We're asking them to win fucking football games.
The only way the Raiders win is if we play the Ravens every game this year. That's the only two we can beat the last couple.
We're not asking you to preserve like a white suit or anything like that. We're just asking you to fucking win football games. It's really funny how I have entirely different standards for my football team than I do for my hockey team. I'm like, I don't give a fuck that guy murdered somebody. Go Ravens.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And I hope so, man.
You wait, Jay. Jay, who is your team? All right, so just before you sit here while you're slinging,
a Lions fan. I bet you're a Lion.
Is he really?
The Lions are killer. I mean,
no. He goes Jets or Giants. That's my guess.
Did he say Lions?
No,
I didn't see that. Oh, because
he said a good thing about the Raiders, so I'm cool with him.
I'm waiting for a Packers. I mean,
as a Raider fan, we hope for 8 games. That'd be a great season.
Giants. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he is a Giant fan. Yeah, well, sorry, dude. Hey, look, Russell Wilson, man. What else is there to say? You guys are on the right track. Bringing in Russ. Can't go wrong there. All right.
Wait. One quick thing.
Yes,
so just a quick prospect update.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that are making their debuts. Zeev Buium, who we could have drafted over Salayev, but I just want to point this out. Thanks to Mike Ruff, who just tagged me on Twitter on this. So there was a 5 overtime game between Torpedo and Gorky. The Devils prospect Anton Salayev finishes with 43 minutes of time on ice, 8 shots on goal, 2 block shots, and 10 hits. This guy's going to be a fucking monster when he gets over there.
I cannot wait. And him and Big Mike, I can't wait.
Yep. Exciting time.
Yep, that left side of Luke Quinn and Salayev is going to feed families.
Is LeChance playing?
No, but this other kid, I just saw that this other kid that we just called up from the AHL. This is the other thing that's going on with these games. This Mike McLaughlin or whatever his name is. He's a Boston kid, local kid. So Fitz is saying, like, put him in the lineup. I guess a couple people are hurt. But he's playing 4th line center tonight. And it's like, he's from Boston. It's like Fitz wants to do a favor for his Boston guys. When is Fitz going to get some of these favors returned? He does favors for fucking everyone. For everyone. He ships Boston guys back to Boston. He does favors for David Poyle in Nashville to give him the last pick in the 7th round. When is a favor going to come back to Fitz? He took money on for Tanev's contract. He took money on, who else was it that he took on money for their contract?
Just this year.
That's right. And then we got what's his name for it?
LeChance. Right, taking the money for.
It's like when is this favor? When are these favors going to come back to him? Because it kind of feels like he's getting taken advantage of a little bit here.
Yeah, kind of does. This is why we need Kathleen Brannigan to take over and run this thing like a fucking
Bring
boss.
back Lou.
No.
Yeah,
no.
so William looks like a stud, but we just got to wait for
all Amarillo. That's why.
Absolutely, Tom, but you got to admit, and this is a whole different conversation.
Oh
we'll
yeah,
get
it's
into
completely
The game is past Lou.
I got to run.
I still love Lou.
I got to go keep building this floor.
Sexual favors too.
We're gonna bounce, guys. Thanks so much for checking us out and hanging out with us tonight. We are coming back on Thursday with a full NHL playoff preview, and we're going to dive deep into New Jersey and Carolina. Real quick, do we have any idea if our game's going to be Saturday or Sunday?
I heard it was going to be Monday, actually.
Oh, even better. Okay. I just don't want to
drop acid on one episode, all four of us. Get on here.
Dude, that would be awesome. We eat some fucking shrooms and just fucking bug out and talk about whatever.
The last thing I want to do is that.
That's the only thing I want to do.
Come on, Tim.
I live on a 100-acre farm. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to go outside and play with leaves.
Well, then why don't we just go to Tim's farm? We'll bring some camping shit, and we'll hang out in his field.
If anybody needs like
balls and
when the economy collapses in the next couple months, and you need an apocalypse shelter, but you don't mind some light manual labor, come to the farm.
I'll be there.
And also, if you fix a 1948 International Harvester front loader, that would be great too.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I got you.
I'll bring the acid.
No. If you're listening,
no, I do not.
If you're listening to us, a 5-star review, a positive comment helps a little podcast that could. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe and the like and all the other bullshit buttons that are there. For Tony Zamboni, Timmy, I'm Chris. We're the Uncle Puckers, and we'll see you when we see you.
For the last time, go fuck yourself, Valaket.
That's not the last time. You got Thursday. That's the last time.
All right, fair enough.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!